Hi guys, and welcome back to our next part where we're going to be looking at those if sentences more closely, specifically at the language that we use in if sentences. So let's get started. So if we look at Shay Hawthorne's if sentences again, and this time we're going to be looking at how the sentences are put together, the language, the grammar that is used in these sentences. And the first thing I want you to ask or answer is how many clauses, subject, verb, object clauses, does each sentence have? Yeah, that's right. Each sentence has two clauses, right? In each of these sentences, we can see two clauses that have a subject, a verb, and an object, a subject, a verb, and an object. Right? So each one of these is two clauses held together with the if, this little tiny if that tells us these two clauses go together. They have a relationship with each other. All right? So that's the first thing to remember. Each clause must have a subject, verb, and object. All right, so the next thing we want to think about is where does the if clause go? The beginning, the end, or either? This one should be pretty easy. That's right. It can go at the beginning, right here, or it can go at the end of the sentence. It doesn't matter. We can move that if clause anywhere in the sentence. But one thing we need to pay attention to is the comma, the punctuation. When the if clause is at the beginning of the sentence, we follow it with a comma. If we want to be happy, comma. We use that comma to separate the if clause from the result or the advice clause. But when the if clause comes at the end of the sentence, for example here, there is no comma. All right? So that's a small little punctuation rule that if you use it correctly, shows your teacher you're really smart. All right, so we've talked about that each part of the conditional each clause has a subject and a verb, but now we need to look more closely at what those subjects and verbs particularly look like. All right, so in our first structure where we're talking about a possible result, we have our if plus our subject plus present simple. All right, this is very important for first conditional. All right, we're talking about real conditionals. First conditionals, we're using present simple. Then in our result clause, so that was our if clause, in our result clause, we're going to have a subject plus will or want, okay? A modal verb. Again, this is first conditional, so we're using present simple and a modal. Plus, we're going to look at that in just a second. All right, then if we look here, what do we think needs to go in these blanks? Yeah? What comes after the subject in a first conditional? Well, let's look. That's right, present simple. Again, subject plus present simple. There's no change between these. It's just really the idea. Then we're going to have our subject in our advice clause, subject plus a modal verb, can, must, should, followed by that infinitive verb, the verb with no S, no ED, no ING, nothing on the end of it, the infinitive form. So if you look down here at our examples, let me turn that off, maybe. There we go. If you come to class late, you must say sorry to the teacher. That's advice. If I do my homework now, I can watch the match later. That's a possible result. If you have a cold, you should make tea with ginger and honey. That's some advice, right? And you see in each of these, we have our present simple, present simple, present simple, and our modal, must say, can watch, should make. All right, in our next part, I'm going to let you practice some of these